Saddle up your horses.
What's going on, everybody? It is another episode of the Mainly Broncos podcast. So thank you so much for saddling up with us for another edition of the Mainly Broncos podcast. We're going to do much of the same stuff that we did last week, where we will be doing what we think the Broncos will do in terms of free agency. And a lot of that is just because we didn't get a chance to finish the simulation with J-Mac. So unfortunately for J-Mac, we didn't get a chance to finish the project. We will with Stephen Kriz, who's our guest here tonight. A lot of people know him for being a bit of a cap wizard. So before we dive into any of the all sorts of simulation, we are going to be running through a bunch of different questions, some myths, some questions, and any questions that, you know, even the people in the chat might actually have. So first things first, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the MHRT Network page over there on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button for the Mainly Broncos YouTube channel. And in that MHRT Network YouTube channel, there's a join feature. You can hit the join feature. It's basically like a membership, but there are 3 different levels of it: a $2.99, $6.99, and a, I believe, $12.99 that you can subscribe to. And as we said, we are going live on all 5 of the accounts tonight. So we're going live on Jordan's Twitter handle, and he may be joining us here in just a little bit. The MHRT Network Twitter handle, we're going live. And we're going live over at Brandon's Twitter handle at Brandon Miller PO, myself, and of course Steven, who is our guest here tonight. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for hopping in. Steven, how you doing, buddy? Are you well recovered from coming back from the Waste Management Open?
Doing good. Yeah, thanks for asking. That was time here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, absolutely. Brandon, first things first, do you want to address your phenomenal, potentially photoshopped Wall of Fame?
Oh, yes. I don't have the chat open because I was trying to make our picture bigger, so I don't see anything in the chat. I'm like, what? Yes. This is more of what I wish my office looked like. Unfortunately, I am on camera for work, and this is not actually my office. But it would be elite.
Could you imagine
to have? I think I would change around the jerseys. I think a little bit. Like, you got to have Sertan in there somewhere. In my personal opinion, and he is unfortunately missing. But no, this is not. I wish this was real. This is my dream setup.
I was gonna say, yeah, it'd be pretty close to a dream setup. Yeah,
I'd make some adjustments.
My Death Star is real.
Death Star.
That is a real picture. You see Death Star?
Yeah. So like you could briefly tell it's not a Death Star, but then like you go look further, and you see the little indentation of where they shoot lasers and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where you would be like, if you're a Star Wars nerd, okay, yeah, that is 100%.
That's the Death Star over Endor.
Yeah. So Steven, obviously this time of year, people do have some opinions about cap, cash, all sorts of cap, even cap space questions. I think first things first in terms of like some of the questions that need to be asked. What is the difference when people say that cap is a myth, or that people who believe in cap over cash? What do you say in terms of that? Because you and I, and even in Brandon, have been kind of like under the impression that cap is a myth and cash is really your saving grace, if you will.
Yeah, it's a good question. So the salary cap is really just the way you account for money. So it's an accounting structure. You can only account for X amount of dollars. There's every team is given the cap. their cap space for the year, and then whatever you rolled over from the previous year whatever you didn't use in the previous year, you can roll over. So you basically have your contracts that you have that you have to account for in that year, and then you have your whatever the difference is there is your space. So the reason a lot of people don't think it's real is because you can basically throw cash at a problem and kick the can down the line. What I mean by that is if you restructure a salary, say there's a $20 million salary, you restructure that and basically you take just a minimum salary, which is a little over $1 million, take the rest of it and pay it up front in a signing bonus, maybe 19 million, call it. Then you get to actually account for that 19 million over the remainder, prorated over the remainder of the contract. So if there's 3 years left, whatever 19 divided by 3 is, that would be what goes against the cap in this year, but then it would also go against the cap next year and the year after that. If you cut the player before that's over, then you have to take all of that money that you paid and account for it in the year that you cut them, which is what leads to dead cap hits. So yes, there teams that can pay more in cash up front, which it does vary team to team. The Broncos, of course, with the richest owners in football by a long shot, don't have any problem, front loading these contracts.
Right.
Can kick the can down the line. I mean, at some point that bill is always going to come due. But these teams know what they're doing. They have a plan for it. You never plan to cut a Russell Wilson and take a dead cap hit the way the Broncos did, but they figured it out. And there's always a way to figure it out and manipulate it to make sure you get under the cap. So all these teams you see that have negative cap space, they'll have cap space by they know what they're doing. They've had this planned for years in advance, and they'll have the ability to spend some money, at the end of the day.
Brandon, you got a cap question if you do for Stephen?
Yeah, how did the Saints get out of their situation? I'm just kidding. Actually, I feel like they could pretty easily do it this year if they want to, which
they can.
They also have to avoid kicking the can down the road another year, and they have to actually have some. They're gonna have to have a year of restructure and lots of dead cap, but I think it's doable, unless a wizard such as yourself sees some other way that they could potentially get out of that situation.
No, at some point they're just going to have a year where they don't sign anyone. They stop giving out these big extensions to old players. They're going to have to take a year where they are strapped in the way that the Broncos were in 2024, the first year taking the Russell Wilson hit. Now, thankfully, the Broncos had enough good young players on rookie deals that they were able to make the playoffs. But the Saints at some point are just going to have to be really, really bad for a year and get their cap situation under control so that it's not just they're figuring it out every year. They just gave away so many bad contracts for so many years, which was dumb because they weren't in contention. It makes sense to do that when you're in contention and you want to go – you're in a window and you want to go be aggressive during that window. The Chiefs, for example, like with Patrick Mahomes, they're always in a window, right? So it makes sense for them. The Saints didn't make sense. Like they didn't have a quarterback. They didn't have established coach. Like it just didn't make sense for them for a really long time, but they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They've also seemed to be getting incredibly lucky with how much the cap continues to increase. I think it's going to be up like $20 million this year or something, which is insane.
It's the first time I think
it's going to get easily dug out of that. Well, not easily, but if they wanted to, they could easily get out of it and they would suck. But,
Well, I was going to say this is the first time it's been at the – I was going to say this is the first time it's been at the 300 mil mark than I can recall. Because like it was reaching close to that area, if I'm not mistaken, before COVID. And then COVID threw everything out of whack. In terms of all that,
COVID.
But I think it went up because even between 24 and 25, it went up like 20 million. So it's crazy. Good.
So there was 1 year where it went down. It was probably the only time it'll ever happen, and it's because what the cap is, and the reason it goes up, and is because it is a percentage of the revenue. So all the teams have an equal revenue split. So if they're getting more money from TV contracts, because every year those contracts go up, if they're getting more revenue from other sources that maybe they didn't even foresee, they got to split that evenly with the teams, and that's how the teams. It's just a percentage. So the more money the NFL makes, the better they do. Now they had the COVID year where they lost a lot of money, and instead of punishing the teams in that year, they basically took that hit that they took in that 1 year and split it over a couple of years. So that's why you saw it go down for like a year. But then the new TV contracts kicked in that they negotiated, and the NFL is not going to start making less money ever. Just won't happen. Every time they renegotiate a deal, they get exponentially more money, and then that's why you just see the cap going up and up and up the way it is, and it's not going to stop. So the good news for everyone that wants the Broncos to be fiscally conservative and not spend all their cap space, like, guys, it's going up, and we know it's going to go up, and we can project roughly what it's going to go up, and it'll probably come in over. So I'm really looking forward to this offseason.
Yeah, and obviously the cop-out answer, and it's the right answer, but like it also affects everybody. Right. Like that's the thing is like as much as it affects the Broncos, it affects every other team because that's the cap number for the entire NFL teams. So one of the questions that I think needs to be asked, Stephen, is there are questions between the difference of a restructure and a pay cut. For maybe someone that is unknown and unfamiliar with the NFL lingo when it comes to restructure and pay cut, at least on the surface, from what I understand, a restructure, for all intents and purposes, means we still want you here. We're just going to kind of tinker with your contract to make sure that you're here. A pay cut, on the other hand, is basically saying with a very, straight face, we do not want you on the roster, but we want you for like a very small percentage, of what your actual contract is.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. So like a simple restructure, they're all restructures, right? Anytime you mess with a contract, it's a restructure. But for the most part, when you hear like a simple restructure, what they're doing is basically converting the money that they were going to get paid out. So like a base salary gets paid out over all 17 weeks. So they get their first paycheck the week of the first game, their last paycheck the week of the last game. That's for a base salary. Signing bonuses are generally paid up front. Sometimes they can be, put into a couple of payments. But what all a restructure is they're saying, hey, we're going to give you all your base salary minus whatever the veteran minimum is up front, so that I can take that money and now spread out the hit, the way I account for that against the salary cap over however many years are left on the deal. And players love that because they're just, money now is always better than money later, right? So they're getting all their money up front essentially, and just taking the minimum salary across their base across the year. A pay cut, you're absolutely right. They're basically have said you are not worth the money that you are getting paid on your contract. You do not have guarantees left in this deal, and we can cut you and move on, right? So they're saying this is what we actually think you're worth, and either you can take that pay cut or we'll cut you and you can go try and get more on the open market, which, an agent's going to take a look at that and say, okay, what do we actually think we're worth on the open market? What are the comparables? We can get more than that. So go ahead and release me and I'll take my chances in free agency. When you see players accept the pay cut, either A, they don't want to move. Like, it is a life-altering thing to change teams. I think, there's a reason Justin Simmons isn't playing this year, and that's because he didn't want to be somewhere,
right?
Or didn't play last year because he didn't want to be somewhere that wasn't Denver. He wanted to be where he lives, right? I guarantee you, if the Broncos had offered him a contract, he would have been playing in Denver
immediately.
Yeah. I can say that as a fact.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
So guys take pay cuts because either it's like, hey, I don't want to I might be able to get a little bit more on the open market, but it's not worth uprooting my family, uprooting my life. I like the team. I like the coaches. I think my role in this team is going to be better. Or the agent is sitting there and shopping the market and saying, hey, man, I don't think you're actually going to get any more than that. This might be the best deal you get. You might as well just take it. So those are the two reasons, those are the reasons a player would accept a pay cut or not accept a pay cut. There's other ways to negotiate the cap too. Extensions are a big one, right? Because with an extension, you're adding years to the contract. You're usually giving money up front as a signing bonus, and that's more years that you can spread that hit across. So, a lot of time it's like, hey, guys are up for extension. Well, how are we going to pay him? That actually sometimes can lower the cap hit. In almost every instance, especially if it's a veteran, will. The only time it won't is usually if you're going from like a rookie scale deal to a veteran scale deal. So,
all right. You want to get this simulation started?
Thanks for the lesson. Let's put this to practice.
I know. It is going to be a fun off season, so we might as well put it to practice of what we think is going to happen.
I'll have one other question. Why are you not employed by the Denver Broncos?
Am I not employed by the Denver Broncos? I'm not that good at this.
Yeah. I was going to say, if he was, you probably would be either working side by side or taking Rich Hurtado's job.
That's true.
I could do Rich. If I invested all my time into it, I could do Rich's job.
There it is.
He's coming.
All right. So the first page is where you do cap management. And this is where you can click on your restructures, maybe do an extension and restructure, Steven, or just simply cut a player.
Yep.
Actually, as we're looking at this, I have one other question. Is it ever beneficial for a team to actually use I know I kind of know the answer to this question, but I didn't answer my first question. What situations would it be beneficial to actually use the franchise tag? Because I know for some, like a lot of the times when you look at, because it's like what the market value for the position or something, like for some positions and players, it's like actually a terrible idea.
Yeah. So
but I know that like there are some where it kind of makes sense, but in general, it doesn't necessarily seem like. It seems like a breaking case for emergency, and you can use it if you need it, but it doesn't actually seem like it would be worthwhile 1A strategy.
Yeah, it's usually more of a threat and it'll get used, but the whole idea is it's a placeholder to buy you more time to get an extension, right?
Oh yeah, totally.
I think the actual use cases for it, where it actually makes sense to tag a guy and expect the guy to play on it, are some of the positions where some of the top rookies and some of the top veterans don't actually make all that different of money. Running backs are a really good example of that. If you're a top 10 pick in the NFL, like even on that rookie scale deal, because the value of running backs is so low, the value of that deal is not all, the annual value of that deal is not actually that much different than like the top, say 5 guys in the NFL. Of course, they still get it a little bit more, but I mean, what the franchise tag is the average of the top 5 salaries at the position. So if you start looking at running backs, there's not a ton of high paid running backs. So the average value of that is not all that much. Running backs also have a short shelf life, right? So that's where a lot of teams just have, like a lot of running backs have a really hard time getting to that second contract with their original drafted team. Because do we really want to pay this guy? And, he's going to be good for 1 or 2 years of the extension, and then he's going to fall off a cliff, which happens all the time with running backs. So that's where I think it actually makes sense. Like, hey, we know we can get one more year out of this guy, and then he's probably gone. Maybe we franchise him again. And for a running back, that's not a terrible deal, because that's 1 year where you're getting a pretty high deal. So it can kind of make sense for both sides. Sometimes. I would say from a player's perspective, the running back, because of their short shelf life, is itching for that one-time guaranteed big payday, right? So,
Interesting.
But when you're talking about like quarterbacks, and it's so hard, and the problem is like you can't manipulate that number because it's a 1-year salary, so there's no void years, there's no other years to spread a signing bonus. So it is the cap hit is what the salary is, which is very rarely the case in any other year.
So it almost is like and then we can move on real quick. But it sounds like the most beneficial use for it would be like you draft a running back, maybe even the first round, you use his 5th-year option. He's like a top 5 back for you, and you don't really want to pay him, but you give him a franchise tag, get 1 more year out of him, and then move on.
Exactly.
That kind of sucks for the running backs, but
it does.
Money.
Tight ends, another position. They're a little bit more highly compensated, but not a whole lot. Like the top ones don't make anywhere near what wide receivers make, what quarterbacks make, what cornerbacks make.
Yeah.
But so like Dallas, for example, they threw it on Pickens because they're either going to negotiate a new deal with him, or they're going to trade him. But if you slap it on him now, the team can't just sign that guy outright. They got to give you compensation,
right?
Even if
the
you
other
don't
benefit,
even have,
yeah.
You retain their rights. So
cool.
All right. So
what are we doing?
Yeah. So, Steven, as far as when you look at some of these restructures or cutting, we could probably just start with the restructuring first. Who are the players you would look at first that just jump off?
I'd be looking at Mike McGlinchey. Restructuring him is going to free up about $11 million. I'd be looking at restructuring Quinn.
So looks like McGlinchey. Let's just start with that one. McGlinchey, looks like you could do one with a void year. You can also do a standard. The cap savings says that pops up with about $8 million. The void year can also bump it to about 10.5 with the new cap hit of 13.2.
Yeah, I would just be looking at a simple restructure there. Quinn Miners, that should bring it quite a bit down.
Another standard?
Yeah.
The bumps it up to about 47.2.
This
Anybody
really
else?
makes it cool to see like how easy it actually is to gain cap space if you really need to. Because I feel like a lot of times like you'll go into the offseason. I mean, like I get it because like most fans, really with the exception of Steven here, are not that well versed in the cap, myself included. Right. So like being able to see, and shout out to the guy that developed this, like
it's insane.
You can make 2 moves and like you're up to almost 50 million.
Yeah. The third move I would foresee here, and this is just my guess, I don't know. With the way Palczewski played, filling in for him, I would think Ben Powers would be a pretty good chance to be cut.
Okay.
I was going to say Ben Powers would be on my cut candidate list. Is there anyone else we'd want to restructure?
I just don't think you need to. I think if you're cutting Ben plus restructuring those two, I mean, you're taking yourself up close to $60 million.
Can you extend Brandon? This is, I think, one point that I think you and I made, or actually you made, if I should say in the Slack chat, which is we could actually extend Brandon, but also restructure Brandon Jones in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Do you think that actually happens?
So he's 28 years old.
27, actually.
I mean, I think some of it's going to come down to how he recovered from that torn pec. But yeah, I mean, he could be an extension candidate for sure.
So the extend and restructure, it sets it on, obviously the 4 years is the max, or 4 is the second max. You can move the APY to whatever. I would imagine it's 3 years though, right?
I would think he would get a 2-year extension. So that
one
would keep him
one-
under contract for 3 more years.
So 1 plus. So this 1 year plus the 2.
Yeah, we'd have
Plus
2
two,
years
yeah.
to that.
And then-
I don't see you wanting to extend a safety into his age, like 31 plus.
Yeah. And because he was signed for less than 10 last year, or his first year, if I should say.
His deal was pretty. We got really good play out of him for the way he.
So would you think it's 10?
That's a good question. Give me a second. So the way I generally do this, right, when I start trying to figure out what's a guy worth, I'm going to go to like an over the cap or a spot track, and I'm just going to look at the salaries at that position, right? So it's all about comparables. Who's he better than? Who's he not better than? Where is he in line in terms of his age? Because, older guys are going to drop down regardless. So if we look at, the top of that market, that's Kyle Hamilton. He's got a $25 million average salary with 82 guaranteed. He's 25 years old. Obviously, Brandon Jones isn't getting that. Hufunga got $13 million a year at 26 years old. So Brandon's a little bit older than that. I don't see Brandon getting that $13 million a year. I think you're probably about right when you say he's going to get more than the 6 and 2/3 that he got last time. But probably he's not getting more than Hufunga got. He's coming off an injury. I would say that $10 to $11 million APY on a 3-year deal, you're probably guaranteeing in that. You're probably guaranteeing a year and a half of that extension. That's $15 million guaranteed, $16 million guaranteed would be the way I would formulate that deal.
So the total deal, the way that they structured this is 3 years, 29.3, and it says that the cap hit for 2026 saves you about 1.6. The guaranteed structure based on and comps is about 80%, and the total including rolling would be 90%, so 18 million guaranteed. So
it was relatively close there, right?
Yeah.
It's about 10 to 11 a year. That's about 30 million over 3. 16 to 18 million guaranteed, somewhere in there. I think the fact that he's coming off injury and he's a little bit older hurts him a little bit there. But
we're sitting at about close to about 60 million right now in terms of cap space. Any other moves that you would foresee in terms of the restructured part of this?
I don't think so. I think you're going to see a couple of guys that have their deals up be looked at in terms of getting a new deal. First one that comes to mind would be Jaquan McMillan.
Right. Obviously, a couple names here that just jump out on us. Steven is 2 of the bigger names that we'll be following here in this offseason. And there were 2 players that were signed this last offseason, and that was Evan Ingram and Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw, I would imagine, I think actually is here. The question, I guess, also too is Evan Ingram. Do you think Evan Ingram is also here?
I've been back and forth on that one. I do think he ends up staying.
Okay. Obviously,
he did not. He definitely didn't play up to his deal. But if you look at what you're getting out of a cut, you're getting $4 million in space.
Yeah.
You're walking away from a $10 million dead cap hit. Are you really going to go out and sign 2 or 3 or use draft picks on 2 or 3 impact guys that can do it? Probably not. Right. Up, so I think he'll be here.
And as far as some obvious cuts, going down the list here, Matt Parrott, I mean, I don't think he'll at least be a cut for at least a 4.3 that is shown here.
I don't see him getting a $4 million, them carrying a $4 million cap hit on Matt Parrott. I would doubt he's there.
Kevin Throckmorton, I actually don't even think is on the roster right now.
He is.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, you can save $1 million there, but I don't know if
I feel like
$1 million.
He's like a
he
multiple
costs,
position offensive lineman depth.
and what who else are you going to get for the veteran minimum to replace him? So yeah, you free up $1 million, but then you got to replace him with somebody else that's going to be $750,000 at least, maybe
now
$1 million.
No, Johnny Walker, obviously. Johnny Walker's not even on the team.
Johnny Walker is on the team.
Well,
according to Over the Cap. So so I use a different calculator. For anybody who wants to kind of nerd out on this stuff, if you go to Over the Cap and go to their interactive cap calculator, it can't do as much as this site, but it's pretty fun to play with because you can do a little bit more in terms of the way you structure a deal. You can structure a deal exactly the way you want to.
Okay.
I do think one other potential restructure that could happen is DJ Jones, because you can get like $8 million or something close.
Do you see that? Do you see that, Steven?
Yep. Yeah. You get up to $9 million.
So when you do the restructure there, it has the new cap hit of 9, but
So the question though I would say is like, why are we doing that, right? How much more money do we really need?
That's what it comes down to, for sure. It's like, are we trying to go after someone in free agency, or personally, I think in a trade? Like, a trade would be where I would see this happen more.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily a reason to, but I do think that he's just someone to point out as like, you could do it if you need some more space, if you're trading for wide receiver that I'm not even going to mention a name because there's a couple of guys out there that could be available.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and some of it comes down to how much longer you think DJ Jones is going to be on the team, right? So when you restructure someone, that means if you cut them a year down the line, you're just taking a bigger cap hit. So, with some guys, hey, I know they're going to be on the team no matter what. Like, we ain't cutting them after another year. It makes sense to restructure them regardless, because even if you don't use the space, you just get to roll it right over to the next year. So it's all kind of a wash. But it is better if you don't really need the space. You don't know how much longer the guy's actually going to be on the team. Those guys get a little bit, you shy away from restructuring those guys a little bit more because, next year we're going to do it. Well, we could have just taken that cap hit equally in this year and have a lesser dead cap hit next year if we didn't restructure them. So,
for sure. Yeah. Well, let's move to the next phase because I think we're done. We're pretty much there as far as the cap management.
Yeah, where do we wind up?
62. Basically 62.
Mm-hmm. That's a good, healthy number to go make some moves.
We started at basically 30. So it's about 30 million that we were able to get to. And not to mention, I assume it's 33.2 in dead as well. In terms of over. We're not in dead cap hell, if you will. All right. Now these are trade offers that are recommended to us. One was Dawson Knox, definitely one that would be worth following between the Davis Webb connections and stuff like that. Theo Johnson's an interesting one. I don't think they give off of Theo, but it's an interesting one. Trey Turner, that's an in-division trade that's not happening. DJ Turner, Josh Downs from the Colts, Trenton Simpson, Keyshawn Booty, Bobby Okereke.
Some of these are some weird trades, man.
I had one the other day. I had one the other day when I first started the model where Dexter Lawrence was offered up as a trade. And
I did see there was a rumor that he actually could be available.
And also Roquan Smith from Baltimore was offered up from a trade.
That's crazy.
So can you put through whatever trade you want, or do you have to go with the options that they give you?
No, you can build your own trade. So like you can actually build your own.
That was going to be my question: is who would you like realistically of who's available and the needs of this team?
So I think
Give
who's
me, like,
available
one or
is
two.
I mean I think who's available is who I think might be available might not be in reality available, but I've got where I'd like to see this team go in a trade is at the wide receiver position.
Okay.
The Broncos need a wide receiver one. Let me tell you why it's always better if you're going after these positions, why trading for someone's actually better, especially if they've already got paid. So the way contracts work, and the reason there's dead cap, is because when you give these signing bonuses, whoever pays the money has to account for that money on the cap. So generally, when you're giving out these big contracts to, from Miami, say Jalen Waddle, they paid a good $20 million in a signing bonus that went towards his guaranteed money and went towards his AAV. So when you trade for him as the Broncos, you don't have to pay that $20 million. The Dolphins have to account for that money. So the cap. So when you see someone's cap number, you don't trade for a cap number. You trade for his base salary and any bonuses that have not yet been paid. So think roster bonuses, option bonuses, things like that. If it has already been paid, signing bonus, which is always the biggest bonus, you don't trade for that because that money was already paid by that team, and that team has to account for it on their salary cap. So when you trade for Jalen Waddle, if you actually go and look at his contract, he's got like a $7 million salary this year. That's what I think it's like a $2 million salary and a $5 million option bonus. That's what you're trading for. So his cap hit is $7 million to the Broncos, whereas it's more to the Dolphins because they have to account for that money that they already paid.
So are you suggesting Jalen Waddle as a trade?
That is a guy that I think we looked at the deadline. I think that was confirmed. I believe he wants to be here.
He wants to be here.
And I mean, the Dolphins seem to be in a fire sale. Now, is he actually available? Probably. What do they actually want for him? That's a different story.
Right.
And I think going more than a single one on Jalen Waddle is probably a little much. Another name that I love, who I have to imagine could be available, but I don't know if he actually is or not, is Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, that's a guy that seems to be a little bit discarded in Arizona, maybe fallen out of favor a little bit, didn't have the results that they wanted. He's only a couple of years away from getting paid, and I think he's a guy that possesses the traits to be, a top 5 receiver in the position in the NFL. And trading for a guy on his rookie deal that still has a couple of years left of cost control is even better. But again, it could come down to the cost.
So
I also don't even think Kyler Murray's going to be playing in Arizona anymore, so they might go through a full takedown. I don't know. But what do you think about the name I had in mind? And this was you don't need to do like a DJ restructure for someone like this because it's only going to be like $14 million. Is AJ Brown. I think his official salary next year is like $1.7 million or something, but his like proration or whatever that is option is $13 million.
Yep.
And
so let's take
29.
Let's take a look at his deal. So 2026, he has a $1.3 million base salary and $8.6 million cap hit for their signing bonus that the Broncos would not take on. $13 million option bonus, so you're and $250,000 workout bonus. So his cap hit to Philadelphia is just over $23 million. To Denver would be about $14 million. It's a good name.
I think he might be more available than. I mean, this opinion also came about before Miami decided to look like everything is available for sale. But AJ Brown, I do not think wants to stay in Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's not a very fair offer last year. The new GM wants to build around him. I have heard that Jalen Waddle is one of those foundational pieces that they don't want to move off of. I would, if they get a 1 for him, even if it's pick 30, that might be hard to turn down for a team that's going to be going through such a massive rebuild.
So what would you think? Because I agree with you. If they're ever going to be trading for someone, it has to be a wide receiver. So if you're going to go off of reasonable, and this is the tricky part of like what we think happens when we get to the trade market. So would you say they probably lean maybe more so the Marvin Harrison route then?
That's probably my favorite target because he's the youngest of the bunch. I think he actually has the most potential of the bunch. He's the cheapest of the bunch because he's so young. That's my favorite trade target. Whether or not the Cardinals make him available, whether or not you're going to have to give up a first-round pick for him, I'd be looking to do like a 2 and a 3.
You can also unlock. You can also unlock on here their June 1st. So like his June 1st is minus 10 mil, and if you were to unlock it, it's like 1 million.
For
plus 1 million.
What do you in a trade or a cut?
I don't know. There's this June 1st option, if you will.
So yeah, I can explain what a post June 1st cut is and why you see that. So basically, if you cut a guy with a post June 1st designation, you can cut him whenever. You don't have to wait till June 1st. Basically, what you do is you're taking the cap hit and spreading it out over the next year. So that's what they did with Russell Wilson. So instead of taking like, what was it, like 100 million, 90 million, whatever, they basically got to break that into 2 chunks. However, when you do that, you can't use that cap space that you're foregoing for the next year. So it doesn't it's good. You could basically spend like up to that amount, and you're going to get that cap space after June 1st, but you can't actually spend that money until after June 1st. If you do a post June 1st trade, it works the same way, but you actually have to wait until after June 1st to execute that trade. So
is Marvin Harrison the target here?
I like Marvin Harrison.
All right. So you said, what did you do in terms of the 2 and a 3?
I just have to put this out into the universe, even though I know that it will not happen, but just in case I have any goodwill built up and this is a miracle that could come to fruition, I would love to trade for Garrett Wilson. It is never happening. There is absolutely no way that they're trading him.
Yeah.
But man, it would be nice.
So just as a reference point here, they only do 2 years, this year and 2027 as far as picks. So just FYI.
Yeah. So like a 2026 2 and a 2027 3. Well, I don't know if that'll get it done. It's all about how Arizona values him, right? And we don't know that.
You could also force a deal.
Yeah.
So what if we also just offer to take on part of Kyler Murray's cap hit? I'm just kidding. I do not want that at all. But this is the Brock Osweiler situation in reverse.
This isn't the NBA, Brandon.
So it says they rejected it, but we could also force it too if it's a rather fair deal of what we think actually happens.
Did they counter?
No, they actually do not counter. No, it's just like they just reject it.
I'd probably go as high as a couple 2s.
And so instead of a third,
get that
2.
done. Yeah. I mean, if you just watch him, the way he moves, the way he runs routes, the way he catches.
I mean,
they just don't have a quarter. They don't have a quarterback, and they.
If we're talking,
seem to fall out of favor.
If we're talking Arizona fire sale because they don't have a quarterback,
Obviously, Trey McBride.
I would literally give up a first-round pick and more for Trey McBride.
I do not believe they're going to trade.
I know it won't happen, but I would do it.
Do we force the trade on this one? Because that's 2 2s.
Yeah, force the trade.
Just let me dream.
That's right. So we sent 2 seconds for Marvin Harrison. One of them is a current second round. And this also went down $1 million off the cap. So just
now you see why he's my favorite target.
I know.
Now I still have $60 billion to play with.
Yeah. So now we
That would
can
be
click
pretty
next. This is actually kind of cool, to where you can actually do tender, like actual restricted free agent tenders.
Real
Steven.
quick for the audience, let's run through that wide receiver room now.
Okay.
And just Marvin Harrison Jr., Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin.
Mhm.
Troy Franklin's your 5th best wide receiver, and you have an actual number 1. That'd be pretty fun.
That's right. That's right. Mike
Do
LaFleur hired.
you guys think Marvin Harrison Jr. is a wide receiver 1?
Yeah.
It's hard to also like think about because of how he was utilized in Arizona.
How he was utilized, who was throwing him the ball.
Yeah.
But go watch the highs there.
So
high. They're so good.
So Jamin, I think Godwin is not afraid. He signed a deal this last year, if I'm not mistaken, with Tampa. If I'm not mistaken, so I don't think he's.
Yeah, I don't think he's a free agent. They're thinking of Mike Evans is a free agent, but he's not.
Mike Evans is free agent. Would have zero interest in Mike Evans.
So regarding these restricted,
anyway.
Regarding these restricted free agent tenders, Steven, obviously there's to do a quick little reference point or definition of restricted, exclusive rights free agents. You can correct me here. Exclusive rights free agents, for all intents and purposes, means you're on that roster next year.
You just have to throw a tender to them. No other team can throw picks at them, and try and sign them.
So restricted, if you do not slap a tender on them, or if you at least have something of the nature, they could still sign a player, meaning a team could swoop in. The Bills could swoop in if they wanted to, and sign J-Mac to an offer sheet. And then you have, I believe it's 3 days to respond with.
Is J-Mac restricted? J-Mac
he is a restricted free agent. So that's why it's one of those things. Like, I'm tempted to be like, or I'm not tempted, but I'm at least having the thought that some team could still come in with a deal and sign him to an offer sheet. But it's also one where you have to decide if you want to do a first-round tender, second-round tender, a normal restricted free agent tender.
Ooh. So there's 3 tenders with restricted free agent. So a team would give up whatever round he was originally drafted in, and if he was undrafted free agent, you don't give up anything.
And that's the normal tender, correct?
That's just that's called the original round tender. Then there's a second round tender, so that's more expensive. So it's kind of like the franchise tag, where those tenders have a set dollar value to them. So original round tender would cost $3.57 million. It's a 1-year deal, so there's no way to manipulate that cap hit. So whatever the money is what the cap hit is. So there's the original round tender, which is 3.5. There's a second round tender, which means a team can sign them to an offer sheet, and either you have the opportunity to match that contract. So this is what happened with C.J. Anderson after Super Bowl 50. You either have the ability to match that, and you still do with the original round tender too. You can still match that offer sheet, because you tendered him, you have the right to match whatever deal he can go out and get in the market within a couple of days.
Right.
Second round tender, if you choose not to match, that team owes you a second round pick. So it's pretty costly for a team to go out and sign a guy on a second round tender unless they really want him, because they got to be willing to give up the second round pick. Then there's the first round tender, which means you're getting a first round pick, and you almost never see that put out there. For J-Mac, I mean, he's a good extension candidate, but I'm at the very least slapping a second round tender on him.
Slap a second?
Because I don't believe he was drafted, was he?
No.
No, so you could be getting him back with no draft compensation. That costs you $2 million to do that, whereas with the original round tender, you still have the ability to match, but much more likely to get an offer from somebody else. And if it's more than you feel like paying, then you're losing for nothing. So
and since we cut Ben Powers, Alex Palczewski, just do a normal restricted. And then obviously from the one down here, Henningsen, Kroll, Atkins, McLaughlin, don't do tenders.
no.
Okay.
Atkins, I'd probably be looking to bring back at less than the original round tender.
Okay. Which should be like 3.5. That's what it
Yeah,
looks like.
I'd be looking to get Nate Atkins back on like a $2 million a year, 3-year,
But also,
$7 million deal.
It's also one where it's I feel like too it's almost avoidable that Adam Troutman's going to be back. No matter who else they add to the room, Troutman's going to be back. So
I don't know. I would see them drafting a guy and going out and signing a guy.
So confirm just those two guys.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll confirm some chicken tenders. So as far as free agency, this is where you can actually focus on some of your in-house guys.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where it gets interesting. You have Justin Strnad, Adam Troutman, PJ Locke, everybody's favorite Little Jordan Humphrey, Adam Prentice,
Okay.
Alex Singleton. I know. That Alex Singleton number, just FYI,
Listen,
is
Alex
2.1.
Singleton gets a lot of hate, and I don't think he deserves as much hate as he gets. You could do a lot worse than Alex Singleton.
Yeah.
You could do better, but you could do a lot worse.
And right now, it's pretty hard to ignore the market for what it's showing here, which is 2.1. He's not going to get a long deal.
No.
I love Alex Singleton as a depth linebacker. Like all day long, I would keep him. He's great in the room. Just all around good guy. But yeah, he's
a captain,
32.
right?
He was a captain. Like I would absolutely keep him, but I would also attack that linebacker room. I don't want him to be. I don't think he should necessarily be your like full-time starter. I love having him in the room. I'm okay with keeping him. I'm okay with. I'd even pay him a little bit more than this, but
right now,
I agree that I think he's overhated, and I think we should upgrade. But I'm okay with keeping him.
Well, let's start with the one guy I think that is absolutely going to get a deal, and that is J.K. Dobbins.
Okay. Do you think
it's going to be a 1-year deal for $2.5 million?
Do you think they also still sign it back?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you want to bet on J.K. Dobbins staying healthy for an entire year, but the way that guy loves the Broncos, and
it's kind of hard to ignore
what he is and the value you're going to get from him, because he's not going to cost a lot of money because he has yet to prove that he can stay healthy for a year. If he does, you're getting the ultimate value. If he doesn't, you've hedged with someone else.
So do you? One of the things that we cut, then talking about Brandon and I, in terms of Dobbins' market value, is roughly about 5. If like the most we would probably go would be 2, but it would be like 5 a year. So in essence, 2 for 10.
I don't think you're doing a multi-year deal with Dobbins.
No, but I'm just saying if you're doing like $1 million per year, it'd almost be like what, 1 for 5 again, which is basically the deal.
For Dobbins, I don't think it's that much. I think it's 1 for 2.5, 1 for 3. Call it 3.
1 for 3.
Mm-hmm.
He rejected it.
He has got to say, well, I'm sorry, you have yet to stay healthy for a whole season in your life. Like, that's why I want Dobbins. That's why I think Dobbins will. Yeah. I do too. He's got to prove at some point, if he wants to get more money, that he can stay healthy for a season. I don't believe he. I mean, I hope he can. Yeah. I think last year's injury was pretty freakish. It's not like he re-screwed up the knee, but you know.
So then now as far as the other in-house, who else do you think we sign?
Goodness, Justin Strnad, when did he get to be 30? I think you're bringing back PJ Locke.
Okay.
I think you're giving him probably 2 years, $6 million.
A year, do you mean?
$6 million total, 3 a year. That's another one of those guys I think got a little bit too much hate. Like, you could do a lot worse than PJ Locke as your number 3 safety.
Devon Key is actually to Dempsey. Devon Key is actually an exclusive rights free agent, so he's basically guaranteed to be a Broncos still.
We tendered that, right?
I believe so, yeah. Or we can retain. There you go. We can retain.
Yeah. Adam Prentice is a guy I like back.
Oh, by the way, up here, just as far as one that would be almost, we're going to click retain on Dondrea Tillman as well.
Do you guys think there's any chance or scenario that we find a way to keep John Franklin Myers, or is he just gone? Because I feel like he's just gone at this point, which makes me really sad.
There's no reason why they can't keep him. And pay him a decent contract.
Like, what did he do? Is he in the doghouse for some reason? I don't know.
This feels like a situation where he's getting up there. They've got a lot of depth at that position. And he's – the only thing I can think is he's a little light, right? And I could see them wanting to stuff that middle of that line with another bigger guy that can hold up a little bit better against the run. If you look at the way Buffalo ran the ball against us with their massive O-line, I mean, there's a reason they ran the ball against us 2 straight years as well as they did. It's because we have a great pass rushing D-line. We hold up well against most O-lines. But some of those massive O-lines like the Bills have, we struggle against because we're still a little bit smaller. So I could see them wanting to, maybe go and use a draft pick, like a first-round draft pick, to replace him with somebody that can also get after the passer a little bit better than like a DJ Jones, but also hold up in the run a little bit better. He's getting up there a little bit. Are they going to want to pay him? He's due a pretty decent payday based on the way he's played for 2 years. Do they think that they can replace that with someone? And I've got a name in mind. Someone that'd be dirt cheap, still plugging away. Mr. Denver's own Calais Campbell. I think would be a really good JFM replacement.
So, but
Ages.
so as far as the last, it seems like the last person to touch would be Alex Singleton. Then
I like Adam Prentice, if we can look at him.
we were able to get him for like 1-for-1, basically.
Perfect. Exactly the type of numbers I would be looking at.
That's
So
a
I think it comes down.
non-use check fullback salary right there.
Yeah, I think it
Not Singleton, right?
comes down to Strnad or Singleton. Personally, I'd rather pay Strnad. I think he won't cost quite as much. He's cheaper, or he's younger.
Better coverage as well.
He's a pretty core special teamer as well.
Yeah, I'm bringing him back. So if we look at what is his market there? What does it say?
He's asking for 7.8, which is a little bit high.
That's high. So if we look at inside backer, we're going to go.
I'd almost like 5.5.
Okay. So guys that are getting, well, let's take a look here. Guys that are getting 7.5 right now: Nate Landman, Pete Werner, Blake Cashman, Caden Ellis, due for a pay raise. Cody Barton getting 7. I just don't know if our boy Justin Snod as the third backer has necessarily put himself in the position with those kind of sort of established vets.
And that's the other side of it too, is you also have that linebacking class in free agency that's pretty deep, and the draft is pretty deep at linebacker.
Mm-hmm. So I think he's looking at something closer to what Malik Harrison, maybe closer to like what Alex Singleton's last deal was.
Like almost like 6 a year.
6 a year, you give him 3 years, $6 million a year, 12 guaranteed.
So then does that mean we're not going to sign, some of these guys in free agency, like a Caden Ellis or something? Because I figure like if
I don't believe that to be the case.
Yeah. So you think that we'll probably end up rolling with Strnad as the starter then?
No, I think Strnad is getting that to be the third backer.
That seems a bit high though, isn't it not?
How much cap space we got?
42.5.
Mm-hmm. And you're looking at probably a $4 million cap hit on that deal. It's pretty good for good depth when you've got a guy like Dre Greenlaw that has had some injury issues.
It just feels weird, specifically if he came back already from Carolina. I don't know. It'd be kind of hard. Like I think he would want to only come back if he's starting, though. Meaning Strnad.
Perhaps. I mean, get a chance to compete for that starting job. You can always cut Dre Greenlaw in camp.
True.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Like, does he go somewhere else for equal or a little bit less money for the chance for a guaranteed starting position? Maybe. Has he earned a guaranteed starting position?
Probably
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have a lot of teams that are like, hey, I got to go get Justin Strnad to be my starter?
So then, as far as some of these free agents now, what we thinking? What positions first? I assume running back.
Running back. I got a guy for that. Oh, I would like a little Breece Hall.
I could see that.
Like he fits everything that we want to do. Like he's been in an incredibly poor situation.
It says 10 a year is the sitting value of that.
I think he's 11 a year, 3 over 33 over 3. And I'll tell you why I think that. I think that he's going to get more money based off of potential than he probably should. Because if you look at James Cook, he was 11.5 a year. You can't in anybody's right mind say that Breece Hall has done what James Cook did on his rookie deal. But they also look at the situation he was in. Just watch the tape. I mean, the guy's electric. So I think you're getting 33 over 3.
Okay. So right now it says our future risk is we are minus 3.4 below the cap right now.
In future year?
Yeah, future risk.
That's okay. There's plans for that.
K. Dotton, tight end. Would tight end be the next one?
I like David Njoku.
David Njoku. Was that up top here?
I think at this point in his career, he probably blocks about as well as Troutman. He catches the ball so much better.
There we go. 6.4 is what it's asking on this one.
Let's take a peek here. So for tight end, let's look at our comparables. I mean, I think he's getting 10 to 12 a year. I mean, he's up there. You look at Jonnu Smith, 31, got $12 million, 12 a year. Evan Ingram, 32, 11.5. Njoku is coming off of a deal where he's getting something similar. I mean, I don't see him going under 10. Goddard's 31, getting 10 a year. Like, he's right in that range. So, I mean, I think he gets a very similar deal to what Evan Ingram got.
2 years, but 10 a year?
2 years, I'd say 12 a year. Say 224. Probably guaranteeing 14 of that.
So 212 a year?
Mm-hmm. And see, let me tell you also why I don't worry as much about the future risk that you're talking about, because with this tool, you don't really get to negotiate the structure of the years.
Yeah.
And so, like, a lot of new deals actually end up pretty cap friendly for the first year or two, and then backload some of those cap hits. And I think that's kind of what you'd see here, is you'd want to basically be looking at my caps year over year over year and kind of basically placing the cap hits where it makes sense. So I think you'd probably be looking at, next year. Next year you're probably moving on from a few guys that are a little bit older too. So you're probably making a couple of strategic cuts. Like, I don't think there's any actual future risk based on where we're at with the cap. But this tool, of course, is going to tell you there is, because it's just structuring it the way it wants to structure it.
Yeah, and I believe even Big Mike brought up about, like, it's like the one problem with a site like this, right?
Yeah.
Is like players could be like, well, it's not exactly what I wanted, right? And so it's almost take it or leave it. I mean, you can force it, but it's like,
yeah,
take it or leave it. So as far as some other ones, you mentioned Calais Campbell.
I would like Calais Campbell.
He's 39, man. He's going to be 40 before the start of the season. I'm not even saying that in a bad way, because he's still so good.
And it says 10.7 as his value on this, which is
that's nuts.
He's not going to get that.
No, but it makes somewhat some sense based on the production that he's had his entire career, but also his age, he's not getting that.
Yeah, I think you're going. I mean, he's only making 5.5 right now. I think you're getting, like, I'm paying 2 years, $8 million total. Like you're talking about $4 million a year.
Yeah, and obviously that's the one part is the lowest we can go is 8.5 for
You can't type it in.
I don't think you can. Wait.
That's what I was saying.
Oh.
Yeah, don't click. Just do. Yeah.
Don't click. Just do. 1 for 5.
Do or do not. There is no try.
So I would say 2 for 8.
Oh, 2 for
4 a year. 8 over 2.
I don't think this will allow us to do that unless we force it. Of course not.
You can just force it, right? Like, this guy's at 40 years old. Is not getting
exactly.
He's not getting a pay raise this year. I'll tell you that much.
No.
So
as good as he was.
He maybe gets a ring. That's got to be enough for him.
That's right, and he comes home.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Yeah. What do we got to work with here? We still got like $30 million, right?
5 million
left in our cap this year.
Yeah.
Where did we spend all our money? We just had 32 million.
It was probably the tenders and some of the. We can actually go back and
the tenders don't cost that much.
No, they're like $1 million.
So
what did we get? So we got Njoku. What's the cap hit on Njoku?
$12 million a year.
I wish there was a way to actually look at the actual cap of the current contract that you got.
Yeah. So that's probably my only problem with a site like this is that.
Scroll all the way down. It thinks sorry, back down to the bottom of what we offered. I think it thinks that we gave Calais Campbell $8 million a year. The bottom one, the one below that,
which we did not.
Oh well, I mean clearly there's some problems with this.
Yeah,
because was it David Njoku?
I mean, David Njoku would be $12 million a year, but his cap hit would probably be like $7 or $8 million because of the way you're giving them. You almost usually give the majority of the AAV in a signing bonus to make up, basically guarantee the money,
right?
And then you're rolling that over 2 years. So, think of a third of the deal. The total deal is usually, if on a 2-year deal, would be the cap hit. So I think in reality we would have more than $5 million left to play with here, but for the sake of
we also need what was it, like 12 million, 10 million or something for rookies?
No, you need like $1 million for rookies.
Well, which I was gonna say, you rarely cap that much.
Yeah, so let me tell you that misconception that some people are like, hey, you got to look, you got 7 rookies and one's $1 million and then everyone's 700,000. That's not the reality. So in the off season, you're only, against the cap, you're only looking at the top 51 contracts where you're bringing 90 guys to camp. So not all 90 guys are actually counting towards your cap. And with every rookie that's outside of, call it the second round, you're really just replacing one bottom of the barrel guy with another. So none of those guys are actually counting against the cap. And then even with the first rounder and second rounder, your bottom of the barrel guys like 700,000, well, your rookie's like $1 million. So you really only need $300,000. Like you're only eating into like $300,000 of your projected space with your first rounder, and maybe $100,000 with your second rounder. So that mystery, you need like $2 million. Like some of the teams that are picking really high or maybe have multiple first rounders might need a little bit more, but almost always the room you need to sign your draft class, especially with like where the Broncos are picking, is like a couple $1 million.
Yeah.
Who can you go back to the guys we signed real quick?
Yes.
Yeah, who all we got? We got Breece Hall.
Because there's one guy that I want that we don't have the cap space for right now, but okay.
Who is it?
I would love me some Caden Ellis in Denver, man.
That was my next guy as well. And in reality, we would have the cap space because I guarantee you, it's putting Breece Hall at $11 million cap hit when in reality he's probably like 6.
Right. Exactly.
It's also counting Calais Campbell as like $4 million more than him.
So maybe we just run with the hypothetical that we actually did sign Caden Ellis still in this.
Let's just say we signed Caden Ellis.
Caden Ellis to me is the perfect. Just sign him for whatever we have left.
So let's see here.
I mean, I think he is like.
Oh, we can. It's long, and I think it's just because of the cap space.
Oh yeah, it doesn't let you do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, let's just assume we signed him.
We'll just assume
we signed him, and we'll assume we signed Caden Ellis.
So yeah, so then we'll just do the draft. Then this is when we load into the draft.
Oh god, I have no idea what's.
Jordan Tyson went to the Jets, 2nd overall.
David Bailey and to the Chiefs. I hate that.
So,
wait, Casey Concepcion's name is Kevin? I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Casey Concepcion.
I actually wouldn't mind taking
Caleb Banks. What would be would you guys prefer an offensive player here at pick 30, or would you prefer to?
I like D-line because we signed a 40-year-old guy as our JFM replacement, and I would like to hedge that with a young guy that can take a year to give Calais Campbell.
I also like that idea, actually.
He's a top D-lineman.
It's between Caleb Banks and Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter is like 320 pounds, 330 pounds, very agile, as is Caleb Banks. To choose whoever it is.
Who rushes the passer better?
Probably Caleb Banks. Although Lee Hunter, I'm very selfish. I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he was the disruptive force at the Senior Bowl.
All right, well, pick your guy.
We'll go Lee Hunter.
How big is he?
Like 320, 330.
Yeah, he's actually shorter than Caleb Banks.
Good God. Yeah, give me
Caleb Banks. Monster, dude.
Give me Lee Hunter.
So because we traded a 2nd-round pick, we don't have a 2nd-round pick in this one.
It was worth it.
Because we also got Marvin Harrison Jr.
This is pretty cool site. I mean, clearly it has some
flaws,
some work to do, but
now we can go get another running back if we want.
Dude, Kyle Lewis though.
I don't need another running back. I have J.K. Dobbins, Breece Hall, and R.J. Harvey on my roster.
Yeah, I don't think we need another running back.
But I do want another tight end.
Oh yeah, what tight ends are available?
Tight ends.
Third round is the tight end sweet spot.
You can have Oscar Delp, Justin Jolly. Justin Jolly is a little bit later, but Oscar Delp has been a pretty popular one. Some people actually have had him above Kenyon Sadiq.
Can you scroll down a bit more too? I'm curious. The rankings on these are weird. Like I would have Sam Rush higher than that.
I know. Josh Cuevas higher. Martin Klein higher. I'd actually have Tanner Kozol higher.
There's your guy, Nate Borchard.
Nate Borchard, I'd have him higher. Yeah. So we feeling kind of maybe Oscar Delp range. Go with some Oscar Delp. Go with the tight end.
I actually don't know much about him.
Well, he's very much like a Georgia tight end, Brandon. He has the playbook on his wrist. I don't know if he's bald like Bowers, but he has the playbook on his left wrist, you know. So he fits the Georgia tight end mold. Okay. But he's definitely athletic, and he's a pretty solid blocker. Okay, so we'll go with Oscar Delp. What's the next position? You guys feeling linebacker?
Well, assuming we sign Ellis, I feel better about linebacker.
Whew.
Who's best player at
Brendan
Gilman?
Thompson is really interesting.
Ted Hurst is screaming at me right now. I can't lie.
Take him.
He's 6'3". He's 207 pounds. His comparison actually has been Pickett on play style. And he's fast. He's physical at the catch point. He can also probably hit up to about 20 miles an hour.
Go get him. That sounds like value. Where are we in the 4th round?
Mm-hmm.
It's great value.
So to recap, Lee Hunter, Oscar Delp, Ted Hurst. And if we can be able to get this the full thing done, we can probably maybe do like a share on the Mainly Broncos Twitter account, like what the full value is. Obviously, the next top players available, obviously, are Mike Washington. I do not think Mike Washington will be available here. I will just make that clear. I do not think he'll be available here. I think he actually rises. We can, if we wanted to take a linebacker, which we still need a linebacker according to this draft. We can take Cody Barton's brother, if we wanted to, Lander Barton. We can also go with Harold Parkins Jr., another off-ball linebacker. Some of the other needs they say is running back, but I don't think we need a running back. But it's also saying offensive tackle.
You got any guards in there?
Let's look. Bo Stevenson from obviously Iowa.
He's probably good.
I mean, he came from Iowa.
I'm
okay.
Potatoes. It's got to be solid.
Lander Barton went to the Patriots.
Can't wait for the Patriots to win 7 games next year.
Next one appears. This is interior offensive line right now. Drew Aller is the top name on the board.
Sure.
I wouldn't even mind double dipping at tight end, honestly.
Yeah,
But I just like Sam Rush.
I actually don't mind double dipping, even though we wouldn't got. But at this point though, based on with what is it? Where's my tight end? I would probably recommend getting like Nate Borkature like later because it's like 268, so we can get him like a little bit later.
I mean, you know who I want, but
9. I know.
We can hold off a little bit if you want.
I was gonna say
Give Brandon a pick.
Okay.
Yeah, do it.
I actually don't even think Sam Roush is actually even going to be there.
No.
Maybe even Dylan Bentley.
Sam Roush in the 6th round.
Mm-hmm.
That would be crazy.
Even Cuevas, I don't think Cuevas is going to be here. So that'll put us. Our next pick is 246. Elijah Pritchett was taken, and he's actually not even draft eligible. We thinking maybe developmental tackle?
We definitely need some depth at tackle. Justin Jefferson there, man. You can take JJ.
Justin Jefferson at tackle. Do we double dip with some Iowa?
Sarah will love it.
Yeah. And 51. Maybe if we do take a running back, maybe later. Do you like Adam Randall? He was a wide receiver converted to a running back. Big. I think he's like 6'3" or 6'2". He's really, really tall.
If you like him, go for it.
Advantage.
We're getting into names I am less familiar with.
Jack Kelly. I mean, this is kind of just a throw a dart. Maybe do quarterback here. Taylor Green, Luke Altmaier, Diego Pavia, the famous Diego Pavia.
Oh my gosh!
We still have Ellinger.
We do not have Ellinger.
He's gone. Okay. Yeah, sure. Take quarterback.
Do some Luke Altmaier.
He's not going to play.
You can go for that. Personally, I probably would go
Taylor Green,
like a secondary guy there, but
we got an A off-season grade, ladies and gentlemen.
Of course we did. This is what we do.
Our cap health, according to this, is 18 out of 25. Our needs fill was 30 of 30. Future outlook has it as 15 out of 20. So I'll have to be able to save that, and we'll have to share it on our Mainly Broncos account. But there we go. We got an A on our off season. Now, truthfully, what is actually, if you were to look at from the off season perspective, and you were to rank the needs, this is the conversation we had, or frankly, it's a conversation I think we've had for a couple of weeks now, Brandon, and it seems right we at least ask Steven, and that's when you rank the off-season needs for this team, how would you rank them from 1 to 5?
Gotta go wide receiver 1. Number 1. Running back, probably number 2.
Yeah.
Tight end, probably number 3. Injured D-line, number 4. Linebacker, 5.
Yeah, it's that's the thing is like it's the same argument. And granted, it just depends on what your cup of tea is, because it's like the 3 biggest needs is tight end 1, running back 1, wide receiver 1, right? Because they really need those top shelf playmakers at those positions. They have a decent roster. They just need the top shelf, playmakers at those set positions, right? And it's just what's your cup of tea when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So
now I'm going to take the most valuable one first. So it's a wide receiver. The one that I think that we have the least amount of depth in right now is running back, and then the one that I think is, there's definitely some good options out there to go get easier is tight end.
Yeah, it's just it's a very bizarre year because to kind of predict, because for all intents and purposes, they can remake the tight end room if they want to. They can remake the running back room if they want to. They can remake the linebacker room if they want to. And frankly, they can even remake it even with Greenlaw on the roster, because there's so much flexibility there with Greenlaw being, for all intents and purposes, the only one contractually, between Kren Reed and Drew Sanders and some of these other guys that are very unproven, but it's one where they can just kind of go through and do a whole rebrand of the linebacker room too.
If I got one hope for this offseason, it's that they are very targetedly aggressive. I don't want them to just go spend money just to spend money. I want them to spend money on a bunch of older players, like Calais Campbell aside, right? That's like a 1-year type of thing. but I also wanted to make sure we, hedge that with a first-round D lineman to be the actual replacement, and Calais Campbell just gives him a little time. Young players, second contract type of guys, mid to middle-ish 20s. Target your wide receiver one in a trade. And prosper.
Yeah.
Just go get good football players, but don't stop trying to play this value game. I don't need value. I want the best players. You got the money to go do it. Go spend the money.
And I think that's the point, Brandon, is like this team has really been bitten with playing the value games. Like if you're like strictly at this position group going forward, the one position group, frankly, that has been really smitten, two position groups, frankly, that have been smitten with the idea of value is wide receiver and running back. Like, don't get me wrong, Jaleel is the same argument of like Singleton in the sense he's been a fighter. He's had that underdog story, Jaleel. It's just like even that experiment to me is like one where it's like, I'm kind of done with this experiment. I want to have the best running back room available, and that's one of the reasons why I've been preaching that, hopefully what Steven's been saying comes true, which is give me J.K. Dobbins, get me Breece Hall with R.J. Harvey. Like, let's just roll with a running back room of just 3. Have your guy in the practice squad, forever it is that whoever do you want. But, like, let's roll with possibly the best running back room possible.
My third best running back is a running back that, as a rookie, ran for 600 yards and
12
caught a couple hundreds and had 12 total touchdowns. Like, that's a really high floor running back room.
Right.
That's my three. That's my third.
I agree. I think I would personally even put running back ahead of wide receiver in the needs order. Like, I'd put running back honestly number 1. I don't think it's I'm not truly saying that's like the number 1 hole on this team. The reason I say that is like, yes, we need wide receiver help. That's obvious. That would be even like 1B. But I also think that if like both of these things can be true, you should not have Bo Nix passing for almost 40 attempts a game if you can help it, because that's the wide receiver room is not set up to support a quarterback doing that. Like, you don't have that elite weapon in the passing game in general, wide receiver or tight end, that makes that valuable. And when you are running the ball, like RJ Harvey, I'm sorry, just has not done enough to me, at least, to warrant being the guy going into this next season. I mean, obviously, like, J.K. Dobbins potentially coming back. Sure, he was great when he was healthy, but you can't say like
you can't run it back with the same room. You're right.
Yeah, you can't run it back. Like, you can't hold that necessarily against our J.K. Dobbins, because like it's going to happen. Injuries happen.
But it's also evaluating the room in general.
Something you can't ignore. So I think you absolutely have to do something to improve that room, and you need to have a more consistent run game that you can lean on, so you're not having to throw the ball 36 something times a game to a wide receiver room that is not at the top of the league. Now, if you want to go that route, great. I agree with Steven. Trade for a guy, get a true number 1 alpha in there, and then you maybe don't necessarily have to. Like, then you can maybe lean more on the passing game, but like this running back room and this running game is not good enough to do what we want to do next season. So to me, that's a pretty high priority.
Here's what I want to do at all 3 of those skill positions. So I want to raise the ceiling and I want to raise the floor. I want to raise the ceiling of the wide receiver weapons by adding a wide receiver 1 and bumping a guy like Troy down to wide receiver 5. I want to raise the running back room to a guy like Breece Hall that's better than J.K. and Harvey, and bump Harvey down, and I want to raise the tight end room.
Linebacker room too.
The Broncos have the money to do it.
Yeah.
They can't do it with just anybody though. They can't go out and do what the Eagles did with Vic that year and made the dream team, just signed everybody. It didn't make sense. It needs to be fit, age, money, like all that stuff needs to line up to be perfectly targetedly aggressive.
Yeah, and I think the other part that I'm kind of struggling with to a certain degree is I also want the Broncos to, when it comes to the draft and also younger players, or even in free agency at times for some that are available, I also want them to kind of go away now, specifically from this age point, right? Like where I'm like, RJ Harvey really was pretty solid for all things considered, but it's just I also want to move away from this idea of drafting a 23-year-old, drafting a 24-year-old. Let's actually get some youth in the room, like a player that could be 20 years old, 21 years old, that you can actually, who's very talented enough that you can be able to bring in here and mold. And it's probably one of the reasons why Cade Otton is probably the dream tight end that I would want to have in that room with Ingram. You know what I mean?
Love Cade Otton.
I love Cade
Otton.
What
did Cade Otton never do? It was so awesome.
I will say this, though. It would be very... Brandon, do you remember the conversation we had with Boggins? It was the year when Boggins was actually a part of Mainly. And there was the famous conversation that we had with Mainly, and it was, who was really tight end one? Was it Trey McBride or was it Cade Otton? And obviously, Boggins from the Pacific Northwest and everything from Washington was always hyping up.
Cade Otton was his favorite player of all time.
Was tight end one. And obviously, we know that Trey McBride ended up being the tight end one out of that class. But it would be so funny that Cade Otton would be the player that the Broncos sign. But I just like his style and youth specifically the youth of the room of having him in. You can maybe bring Troutman back if you wanted to, or draft a tight end, and stuff in the draft. But it's just at the point where I would like to see some youth in that room, to kind of get a chance to specifically see an offense be built for that future with Bo and everything, so that it can kind of exponentially grow. And of course, and obviously that's the risk you run into with the win now mode versus also building for the future.
Send the first and more for Trey McBride. I said it.
Yeah, man, that'd be interesting. So
it will not happen, but man, I want it to happen so bad.
We'll do and hopefully I'll reach out to one of the Broncos insiders and see if we can have him on the week of the week before free agency, and maybe get a pulse of maybe where things are going. And if he was to make one prediction, who would they sign? Who he thinks the Broncos will sign? So maybe we'll see if we can get a Broncos insider on the week before. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I do think that every offseason the Broncos have had, right? Like every offseason the Broncos have had has been, for all intents and purposes, just a step above when it comes to aggressive nature, right? Like they took risks last year. Some did not exactly work out, but they took risks in terms of injury history. So maybe they kind of take that step up just even more now that they made it to that AFC Championship game. And for all intents and purposes, it seems like there might be a changing of the guard and somewhat of some offense philosophy. So maybe, relatively speaking, so maybe they kind of be a little bit more aggressive and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun offseason.
It's gonna be the best offseason in recent memory. And
which is funny. Which is funny because we say that every single year.
Well, let me rephrase. It's going to be the most exciting season in recent memory because, like, even after last year, like, okay, you see rookie Bo, you get to the playoffs, awesome. You get absolutely blown out in the playoffs. This year, you are a freak broken ankle away from maybe winning the Super Bowl. So, like, that's a pretty big step up to me. And from what we've seen from this team this year, like going into an offseason and first, like, for sure not having a question at quarterback.
Yep.
Yes, that was, true last year, but I think it's even more true now. And not having massive holes, like having holes on this team that are fixable in a single offseason for the most part, I think is going to make this, yes, we say it every year, but probably the most exciting offseason because, like, we are in the Super Bowl window. Like, that is a fact.
I need a good free agency period here so that I could stop getting sad every time I see Bo highlights.
Yeah.
They just break my heart.
every time I go into YouTube and watch either a YouTube stream and stuff of even a show to kind of get better and stuff with mainly, I always see that 43 minutes of Bo Nix highlights from the 2025 season. And which, by the way, brief last tangent before we end this. I will say I was a little bit annoyed that when the NFL put forward their like top 50 highlights or whatever it was, that Bo's throw in the Commanders game was ranked 50th. Like, so I don't know.
There's so many times.
That's what's going to happen.
But yeah,
that dude was so good last year.
Yeah,
minus a couple games. He was so good.
Like I said, if they thought I was insufferable when it came to Bo Nix being a dark horse MVP candidate this last offseason, just wait for this upcoming offseason for the moves that they potentially will make in this offseason. You just wait, because the Bo Nix dark horse MVP agenda might be even more stronger than it was this last year.
You add Marvin Harrison Jr. and Breece Hall to this team without exiting any of the core pieces. Forget it.
Yeah.
They're winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, Steven, any other final thoughts, or maybe a free agent that's not been talked about that you're kind of eyeballing positionally and stuff for this team that obviously we did not sign, but you can actually see them kind of target?
I mean, the only one that I would see, and you got to trade for him and pay him, is George Pickens. And that's why I'm I think George Pickens is probably the best football fit for this team.
Yeah, it's just
he's going to cost. Well, he's going to cost a lot of money, and he's going to cost a draft pick now that the Cowboys tagged him. So that's the brilliant part about trading for a guy that's already been paid, is you don't have to give him that signing bonus.
And on a rookie deal.
Yeah. But even in the case of Jalen Waddle, that's a much better deal relative to what you have to give up. But if you're giving up a 2 for Pickens, and then you got to go make him a top 5, top 10 paid guy in the league at the position, you got to take that signing bonus. Your cap hits are higher. It's just not as preferred. But Bo and George go back, and boy, he's a heck of a football player.
Yeah. Brandon and I, in the shows we've done, I think the 2 players I'm monitoring, I've even mentioned it in the Slack chat, Steven, so this is not exactly news to you. But like I said, I haven't been pounding the table advocating that they need to sign these 2 players. It's also hard to ignore the player schematic fit. It's just how things actually fit from this other player perspective, and that's Wan'Dale Robinson and Deebo Samuel. It's kind of hard to ignore that, just from the side of things. I actually do think Deebo fits schematically for what they want to do. And I also think Wan'Dale Robinson schematically fits for what they would like to do. The question is just, what do you do with Marvin Mims at that point? If they are really hell-bent on wanting to...
Yeah. I see, with Deebo, I don't think he significantly raises the ceiling, right? He is not your traditional wide receiver 1 in the fact that, he's just going to get open if you single cover him, no matter what. He's more of that gadget type of guy, and they, to an extent, have that with Mims. I think Pat Bryant probably gets open more than Deebo Samuel. So, and he's getting up there in age, and I don't know. I don't see that as a fit. Maybe a couple of years ago, sure, and I'm sure Sean Payton would love to play with a dynamic weapon like that. But I think what this team needs right now is a bona fide one that can get open if he's single covered, that's going to command a double coverage, nearly every time he steps on the field, that you're going to have to game plan around. I don't know if Deebo's that anymore.
Yeah, you also have running back flexibility with Deebo too.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we're signing Breece Hall and J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey. So.
That's right. You're gonna say something, Brandon?
No, just you already know I'm on that. I want that Tyler Linderbaum pipe dream.
It is a pipe dream. It is a pipe dream that could result in, frankly, the Las Vegas Raiders getting Tyler Linderbaum with the amount of money that they have. Yeah, so
the Ravens aren't letting him go.
Maybe they could. They very well could. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, we'll be doing this type of simulator moving forward. Our next show, we're actually going to have a couple guests. I think they do their own show. Obviously, one of them specifically is pretty popular when it comes to Broncos Twitter, Broncos social media, and that would be Mile High Mims. So we're going to have Mile High Mims. We're going to have Bryce on. We're going to also have, I think, his co-host part, I believe, is Broncos Edge. So we're going to have him on, do a crossover episode between both of them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We probably won't do another like simulation, if you will. But it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe. So yes, thanks, Paul. Thank you so much. So again, make sure you hit the subscribe button for the Mainly Broncos YouTube page. We think we currently sit about 35 subscribers right now. Also, with the subscribe button for the MHRT Network page, and there is a join, almost basically membership feature there. It's a $2.99, $6.99, and $12.99 in terms of membership. Please feel free to be a membership for whatever price fits your comfort level. Also, follow us. Follow Steven at SKrizPO, I believe. And also follow Brandon at Brandon Miller PO, which, by the way, Brandon, congratulations for breaking the Hornets franchise record in free throws in a season, and also doing a Broncos podcast. I'm just so impressed with everything that you have on your plate. So make sure you follow Brandon. Make sure you follow Brandon at Brandon Miller PO. And by the way, just because I said that Brandon Miller, at Brandon Miller PO, just for, again, he is not Brandon Miller who plays for the Charlotte Hornets. He is not. There was a reason why this guy went out to private, was because he was getting the Brandon he was getting the Brandon Marshall treatment of people actually tagging him, and thankfully it stopped.
It was mostly people that lost sports bets.
But no, make sure you hit the I know, right? Make sure you hit the follow at Brandon Miller PO, and also follow myself at Cameron Parker PO. It's been a lot of fun. We'll see you guys next week. The show for the date and time is probably going to end up being on a Friday. We'll get the time figured out and everything. But, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And as always, God bless Bo Nix.
Let's go Broncos! God bless Bo Nix!
Fast lane when I pass in the street. Bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame miles. So high.